Hey everybody, it's Robert coming to you with another adventure into history, and today we're just kind of out exploring here in Talbot County, Georgia, and I found this old chimney that I want to show you, this old home site here. And I figured we'd take a look at not only the ruins of the chimney, but also see if we can tell anything by some of the evidence left over from whoever lived here. Kind of a little mini archaeological look at this place. So let's see it. So you can't see it on video yet, but the old home site is right in there. The old chimney, I should say, is right in there, well hidden by the trees. But already coming up on this old home site, we've got a little bit of trash left over from the home. And right here is an old snuff jar. See the old snuff jar there? Now, if you remember the video I did at the old C.F. Hayes store, they still had one of these old snuff jars on the shelf left over from way back when that had the old original label on it. Of course, this one, having sat out in the woods for a long time, has no label on it. But I thought it was just neat to see because we see these often around old home sites, but to actually see one that was still on the store shelf at the C.F. Hayes store from so long ago kind of puts it in perspective when we see this trash, and then we can actually think about what it was like for someone like who used to live at this home site to have gone to a store like that and bought one of these. So it's kind of the small things sometimes that tell the story and help us understand the lives of the people who lived here. Let's keep going. All right, so as we come up on this old home site, the old chimney, two things we want to keep our eyes out for on the ground. And what are those two things? Artifacts and rattlesnakes. You can start to see the chimney now appearing right there, but we've got another artifact here. This is one of those old milk glass jars. I think that these are anywhere from like the 20s to the 50s, something like that, maybe even as late as the 60s. There's something on the bottom of it. Let me see if I can clean it off. We can read it. Jurgens. There's a number 40 at the top, Jurgens, and the kind of like an anchor symbol right there. So let me know down in the comments if you know an exact age on this. And then we'll have some idea for how long this house was lived in by something like that. So we'll just leave that where it is. And then we can look at the chimney and try to determine how old this place is. So not much is left of it. This is just the base of the chimney. The upper part has fallen over many years ago. People could have gotten some of the stones from it and used them elsewhere. Now, interestingly enough, we can see that there was some probably later work done on this chimney where they put some brick inside of the hearth here. And that's a newer brick. But what we've also got, and one thing that'll help us date this, is we've got some older brick scattered around this chimney. Now this is kind of an early settlement to plantation era brick. Bricks went to this more uniform design, and that kind of happened in the 1880s because then bricks were being manufactured at places like Boral Bricks in Columbus and other actual brick manufacturers. These bricks, on the other hand, were actually manufactured on the plantations, on the home sites from the local red clay. It's the clay that they got. They would take these and fire them. And there would either be a specific place around here that would specialize in making bricks, or the individual plantations would have a brick kiln. Just kind of varied. But you can see the difference in the two bricks here. If we can kind of compare these two, you can see the modern, the like 1880s and up brick is more uniform, more of what we expect to see with a red brick, whereas this one is larger, and if there's more of these, then they're not as uniform. So we kind of compare those and can see this one's more porous too. So that brick right there helps us to identify that this was probably an early settlement to plantation era house. Of course, it's a relatively small house, looks like just one chimney here, so this was probably a smaller cabin. And also the chimney here is built with, the local field stones. And you can just kind of take a moment and look at that construction where we see how they fit the smaller stones in there to keep everything level. And just, you know, just imagine having a pile of field stones and you need to make a chimney and you've got this big pile of rocks and none of them are uniform, but you need a chimney for your house. Just think how much skill it took to actually do that. Very few people today that could do that. And even back then, it wasn't like every old settler who was an expert on stacking rock and building chimneys. There would be people who specialized in that back then who would come through. You supplied the rocks and they did the labor of building the chimney. But that's it, a little beautiful base to the chimney there. And we're going to keep taking a look around, see what else we could see. We got to watch out because there should be a well. Every old home site usually has a well. And we've got a couple more artifacts that kind of help us date some of this place. It's always interesting to see the trash around one of these old home sites because it can kind of tell you how the people lived, whether they were wealthy, if they drank a lot, if they had a favorite soda, that sort of thing. And if this tin, this metal corrugated tin, so if it came off the roof of this house, we'd know that there was a tin roof on the house. And original construction with something as old as this would have more than likely been a wood shingled roof. And then, you know, late 1800s, early 1900s, people would come in and put the modern tin roofs on them. And we obviously know from some of the trash that we're already seeing that we can already put together kind of a timetable on this house. You know, we're saying that it was built between, 1830s to 1860s more than likely, and then it was lived in up until, I would guesstimate, the 1960s from some of the trash that we're seeing here. Sounds like a good time period for this. Old corrugated pipe. Don't know what that was from. Maybe just trash. Just trash around the old home site. Usually there's a little bottle dump around these places where people would dump any of their trash. You know, no trash service back in those days, so we'll see if we can't find it. So I see this little trash dump right here, but before I go over there, I see something else. I think I see what I talked about earlier. Yep, there it is. Look at this right here. Now it's been partly filled in, but there's their old well right here. And you can see the sides have kind of collapsed. There is their old well. It's open, but it's not as deep as it originally was. And to kind of give you an idea, the old well was here. And if we look up there, we can see the old chimney right there. So their well was just back here. But I saw what looked like the old home site trash dump over here. And it's always neat to look through these. We can, again, get a better idea of dates. This is a bed right here. Look at that. That's a bed. Got a bunch of screw top jars in here. That's a seat out of a car right there. See, that's where it mounted to the floorboards. Uh-oh, look right here. A soda. So they were out here drinking RC Cola and having them a moon pie maybe. Cool, old RC bottle. See what that is. That one's broken, but another RC bottle, so that's what they liked. It was the RC Cola. I don't know what that one was. I see what they were drinking. They're drinking Budweiser. All right. Cool stuff to see. Someone was feeding a baby here. It's plastic, ebb and flow, formula jar. So just a little ways from the old home site we're investigating, and found this old roadbed here. And at first I didn't know whether it was road or kind of driveway. And I think we're looking at a driveway up to another old residence that maybe any sign of is gone. I followed it up, and it just kind of dead ends right here. You start to lose the cut of the road. So there was probably another home site or something at least going on here that time has erased. But you can see as we get further down how deeply these banks are cut. And over here, this roadbed is interesting because it looks like it forms more into just like a walking path. You can see just like kind of right there is where the cut is, one high bank. And then as we go down further, the whole thing turns into what you can really tell is an old roadbed. Although I'm thinking that maybe this was just a driveway to another old home site that was out here. You can see it really opens up to this wide space here, and then goes back into the modern road. All right, reaching the end of the old roadbed. You kind of see it's kind of also disappeared, especially with this dirt road here that's still being used. It's got the banks pushed up, so you can't really tell where the old roadbed went in. But I hope you folks have enjoyed this kind of an impromptu exploration of an old home site out here in the woods. This is a more amazing kind of forgotten history, and always incredible to think about that we are in the middle of nowhere today. There's no power lines running down this road, probably no utilities down this road. And someone was living down here in this house, and we're able to tell that they were living there in the not too distant past, and now it's just forgotten in the woods with almost nothing left. It's amazing to see the way things change, the way something that was built long ago was lived in until relatively modern times, and now there's very little left. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on another adventure into history.